If you'd told me a year ago, I'd be sleeping behind a dumpster with nothing but the clothes on my back, and my wife beside me, by choice, not by bad luck, I would have laughed you out the door. But sometimes, when life gets too comfortable, you forget how it feels to be invisible. You know, that's why Jada and I did it. Walked away from our cushy life and went out there, living rough in the city where nobody cared what car you drove or where your name showed up on some donation wall. Just another pair of faces blending into the crowd, hoping for a little kindness, praying for one warm meal. The first morning, the city was wide awake, folks buzzing past, not a glance our way. Jada nudged me, whispered, "Look how nobody even sees us." I felt it, like I was right back to being that scared kid no one gave a second thought to. "Maybe they don't want to see," I said, trying to keep my chin up, but inside it hurt. It's wild how fast the world shrinks when you got nothing. We started this whole mess because truth is, giving money to charity felt like tossing coins in a fountain, wishful, but pointless. We wanted to know what folks out here really go through, not just guess from the comfort of our fancy kitchen. So we changed our names, bought the rattiest clothes, let our hair go wild, and rode the bus to a part of town even our GPS warned us about. Let me tell you, the street has its own rules. First thing we learned, hunger isn't just a feeling. It's a voice in your head that gets louder with every hour. That afternoon, we walked into this dingy little corner store, desperate enough to ask the guy behind the counter for food. He barely looked at us, just pointed to a basket of almost rotten fruit and bread so stale it could chip a tooth. "Take it or leave it," he grunted. I took it. Humility's a hard pill, but hunger's harder. That night, we found a spot behind a dumpster, the city sounds echoing off brick and metal. Jada was shivering, and I tried to make light of it. "At least we're together, right?" She managed a weak laugh. "You ever try to sleep when your stomach's empty and every noise sounds like trouble?" I don't recommend it. Woke up at sunrise. Body stiff. Pride even stiffer. But I wasn't quitting. Not yet. We stumbled into a park that morning, kind of a gathering spot for folks like us, except most of them had been there a lot longer. Pops was the first to talk to us, pouring thin coffee and handing out bread. "Got to look out for each other, right?" he said. No judgment, just tired eyes and a crooked smile. We met Tasha, who'd run from a bad home, and Mike, who'd lost his job and everything with it. Everybody had a story, and nobody wanted pity. Just someone to listen, maybe share a laugh. Days passed, and the street started to feel less like an enemy and more like a test. You learn quick where to line up for soup, which corners to avoid, who's got your back, and who might rob you blind. Jada and I argued sometimes, mostly about nothing, just so we could feel normal again. Funny what you miss most out there. It's not stuff. It's feeling like you matter to someone. But the worst came on the fifth night. Rain was coming down sideways, and we'd just barely gotten a spot in this overcrowded shelter. The place smelled like wet laundry and fear. A woman at the desk said, "Last room, just one mat." We took it, thankful for 4 walls. But it didn't last. 3 men burst in, drunk, angry. "This is our spot now," one growled, flashing a knife. I put myself between them and Jada, heart pounding. "We don't want trouble," I said, but trouble wanted us. They lunged, fists flying, and I went down hard. Jada screamed, and then, like a miracle, Pops and Tasha showed up with a couple others, hauling the guys off us and out the door. For a second, I just lay there on the mat, wondering how we'd gotten so lucky. Next morning, the shelter was buzzing, people swapping stories over oatmeal. Jada turned to me, eyes red, voice steady. "We can't just go home and pretend this never happened." She was right. The worst part of being out there wasn't the cold or the hunger. It was how people looked right through you. Nobody wins alone. I squeezed her hand, said, "Let's do something real, not just throw money at the problem." So we talked with Pops, Tasha, the rest, asked what they really needed. A job? Sure. A safe place? Always. But mostly, they wanted to be seen, to have a shot at belonging again. That's when it clicked for us. Charity isn't about pity, it's about community. After the week ended, we went back to our life, but it didn't fit the same way. We called a press conference, told everyone what we'd done, not to brag, but to wake folks up. We started the Rise Together Foundation, not just handing out meals, but building bridges, job training, mental health care, a place where nobody's invisible. Pops became our advisor. Tasha found work. Mike started counseling others who'd lost their way. And now, looking back, I ask myself, would I do it all again? You bet, because I learned that the line between us and them is paper thin. Next time you pass someone on the street, maybe ask yourself, what would it take for you to end up in their shoes? Is it just bad luck, or something deeper about how we treat each other? Let me know what you think. Drop your story, your opinion, whatever you want in the comments. Ever been overlooked or helped someone who needed a second chance? Because honestly, real change starts with seeing each other, not just surviving, but lifting each other up. That's what I believe anyway. You with me?